Welcome to the Road to Dracula Visions Artist Spotlight. Da-da-dong. All right, for more information on Dracula Visions, check out the SlampressTomes Facebook page. Click the little button at the top, be added to our newsletter, which will get behind-the-scenes information on the project, art that you won't see anywhere else, and a few other goodies, like some of our favorite things. Isn't that right, Sam?
Oh yeah, and there are. We should add there are two new additions to the Dracula Visions family.
That's correct. Yes. So I got to update the trailer a little bit with there's going to be a couple of things, a couple announcements. So, but first of all, most importantly, we have two more artists pulled on. I know we have a crazy lineup as it is, but we're adding on to the lineup Mr. Gabe Sapienza and Mr. Eric Vetter. Go check them out. They are awesome artists and a very welcome addition to the project. So check that out. In addition to that, there will be an announcement soon where we will be revealing the actual Dracula Visions font and the logo for Dracula Visions, as well as an update for SlampressTomes. That being said, one of the persons behind that and what the folks that we're talking to today is a comic illustrator, an artist, a graphic designer, and sometimes a Godzilla impersonator, Mr. Dominic Chenier. How are you?
How's it going, guys?
Excellent.
Good to see you.
Good.
And should also mention that he came up with the awesome, amazing Sketchelmania robot logo.
Yes. This is Dom's. Look at that. Oh, Sam, where's yours?
If I'm not mistaken, is it not coming back next week?
Yes. Sketchelmania is coming back next week. Bigger and badder and stronger than ever. So we're trying to do it on a monthly basis, but they will be very special shows. I assure you. I will be doing the official announcement soon. We're still landing on a couple of things. I think we've got the folks that are going to be on it, but we're landing on potentially the theme. We're almost there, but look out for that very soon. Anyway, tonight is about Dominic.
And
so
hopefully we'll be able to reveal in a not this episode necessarily, but soon the Dracula Visions logo.
Yeah, it's killer. Had a lot of work.
It was an amazing collaborative effort. It's one thing. It's like it took me back to like early days, like being back in the studio.
Yeah.
So like, you know, with Paul, like, you know, Martin had a very clear vision about like the tone and style he wanted to do for especially Visions, a logo that would like repeat itself, and like the kind of little wink wink nudge to like our childhood nostalgia. And then I did one pass, but it was a little too, I think a little too magazine, too 80s kitsch. And then Paul went in and did this fresh take. And so we kind of combined like technical and classical skills. So you guys are in for a treat. I think we found a nice medium. And
It's killer.
Kalman's like feedback key.
Yes. Kalman came in as a sort of a late third party, but we'll have a special on that. We'll talk about the creation of the logo. It's actually a very interesting process. This is my first Kickstarter. I'm not an artist by trade, but I'm learning as I go, and I'm actually learning a lot about sort of the behind the scenes, the creation of some of these books. Sam has also been sort of my guide through this as well, helping me through all the hurdles.
And just a quick plug for a Kickstarter right now. Raid Press's Forest Folk is halfway through their campaign. We are just shy of 28 grand. So if someone wants to go out there and knock us over that threshold, we would be wonderfully grateful. And Dax Gourdin's Forest Folk, which is a collision between Calvin and Hobbes and Looney Tunes, is wonderful.
Yeah, crazy.
You guys have to check it out.
Now, speaking of sort of animation, Dom, you got your start really early, didn't you, in the field of animation?
Yeah, that was dumb luck. So what happens, like in Ottawa, we have like these art high schools. So you focus in the arts, kind of like, you know, like fame. So I went to the French Catholic version, and I need to find an apprenticeship. So it just dumb luck. I was knocking on the door in Ottawa in the Glebe. And when I walked in this hallway, it said, I thought it was an advertising studio, and it had a barbershop pole, and it was behind an old stage theater, and he had steel platforms. So they refurbished the entire backstage as this animation studio, and it was called Dynamite Studios. And they did stuff for like a lot of pre-production, and I just kept hanging out, and I wouldn't leave them alone. So then eventually gave me a job. I was like their Jimmy Olsen. And they were doing stuff for The Simpsons. And they were doing stuff for Lacewood. And there were guys that worked on the Nutcracker animated film that Kiefer Sutherland voiced back in the 90s.
Cool.
And the Raccoons, a lot of the guys from the Raccoons came on board. And
great show.
Oh, yeah, that was classic. Like, I'm Facebook friends with Lougheed. So, like, the singer of the theme song, it's pretty nostalgic. So
that's cool.
It was a lot of fun. But the studio is like a magical place. It's like a Wonka factory. So on one platform, they would do storyboards, and then another platform stage, they would do like all the animation or background layouts. So sometimes the Simpsons stuff would come in. I learned very early on the entire process, and I was the kid that would punch the holes and like prep all the sheets. And then one of the guys was Philip Craig, who's an artist, and his client was Alex Trebek. So I was also cleaning his brushes on another platform, and I looked down as Alex Trebek buying paintings. And they're the ones who told me about Sheridan, and they pushed me to go to this convention where I met Richard Pace, who's involved with this Dracula Visions project. And Pace kind of set me on this trajectory. In this meeting, I had just rough drawings from Killing Time in the studio, and he told me to go to Sheridan. So and I was debating animation or illustration, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And this was all the traditional cell animation, then I'm guessing, from the way you're talking about punching holes and platforms.
Oh yeah, rotoscoping. Like Don Bluth, because we worked on Anastasia, so we did a lot of rotoscoping for Don Bluth when he moved over to Fox, and we did all the early development stuff for Titan AE, and when it was called Planet Ice.
Amazing.
And the reason why is because originally the Titan was supposed to be in the core of like an Earth 2 and not an asteroid. So Planet Ice, and it was going to terraform, but they said it's too much of a big scale, so they just narrowed it down to an asteroid. So that's
no way.
They just blew it up, cool. And so like, oh yeah, we'll just put debris everywhere. It'll be fine.
So you originally were headed to Sheridan to possibly study animation?
Mm-hmm.
And then you ended up in the illustration department. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was actually something, and Richard said something that made absolute sense. He said, like, what do you, if you're useless in animation unless you get to learn any of the fundamentals. And looking at the outline it turned out to be true. The illustration program at Sheridan had a far richer, like, life drawing studies program, object drawing, more natural classical studies, and you could apply that to animation. And the animation students, I became a life drawing coordinator at Sheridan in my 3rd year. And Casey Parsons religiously always worked, always, like, painting and studying. Ruth too, he worked on poses. All of us were classmates. So I'll be coordinating, like, between life drawing models, and animation students would come in because they didn't have that. They get a tiger from the zoo, but they didn't have life drawing models or, like, like actors that would do dramatic poses. And it was an excellent program, to be honest. It taught you everything, including graphic design. I was, like, right at the dawn of it. So we learned about Photoshop. Like, I think we helped build the computer lab. We were the guinea pigs.
So just to let the folks at home know, you're part of what we sometimes jokingly refer to as the Sheridan Comics Mafia, in terms of your years at Sheridan actually contained a lot of people who would go on to become working comics professionals. So you mentioned Casey Parsons and Mike Ruth, and I believe Chip Zdarsky, Eric Kim was also within your years as well.
Yeah. Kim took me in. There was a time there where he and his family, like, took me in. He and his family are just awesome. He's an amazing illustrator.
Oh yes.
I wish he would stop being so humble. Parsons has been always, like, just amazing. Like, I find he's gotten way better, but he's always been gifted. So is Ruth, Erica. Like, I was privileged to see them at work. Even, like, Keegan McLeod from Infinite Kung Fu. Like, and he would be in the corner, and he was very humble and always working, always developing. And there was Graham Rumu with Bigfoot in Me Own Words from years back. We were classmates, but all of us were, like, at a time where it's like we're all very supportive of each other, but everyone's developing their own style. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think was, like, the difference between, like, OCAD and Sheridan at the time. It's different now. OCAD was a little bit more curriculum, like very high school. But at the program that we were in, we were very privileged to have professors like Paul Dallas and, like, even Joe Moore, Stan Hughes, John Parker, all these guys that came in, guest speakers like Nick Bantock, who fully pushed us to explore, so long as we don't forget the fundamentals.
Gotcha. And tell us a little bit about the jobs you had coming out of that program. I believe you mentioned that you were a crime illustrator, as well as worked on the Sunday Sunshine Girls.
Yeah, that was interesting. The couple of contrasts for the same day job. You go in the morning, and I would get, like, copy from Max Haynes, who would write the true crime stories.
Yeah.
And I did do a couple editorials, but I would get sent. And I was privileged to work with Pam Davies. So every time you look at the news in Toronto and you see, like, a courtroom illustration archive, it's Pam. She's on the fly, and she's, like, 5'0". She walks in with a whole kit, and it does these immaculate drawings in minutes, like paintings. So she taught me, like, speed painting, which is my approach now. And from there, I applied that to touching up, airbrushing Sunshine Girls. So I would go do photo touching, clip them, and the deal was, here's your 5 images. You take your 5 best prints. We print them there, and I would be the guy with, like, okay, these are the files, great, and touch them up. What do you think about this lighting? It's for your portfolio. And I would, can you make me more like this? Can you smooth me out? And I did it to Sunshine Boys, and I'll tell you the truth. One Sunshine Boy that was a sexy fireman, that was my boss.
You gotta make sure it's good.
He got fan mail. Lots of fan mail.
So he was
hilarious.
A journalist who moonlighted as a fireman, or just dressed up as a fireman?
No, we just didn't have a model that day. We circled on an old pose photo and just put his head on it. And so he has a Super Mario, like, mustache, and he's like 57 at the time. And this ripped body looks like Lou Ferrigno and everything, just tan like this.
Oh my
So
goodness.
this was the early version of Photoshop where you went into the actual
Mhm.
dark room and composited a few things together.
That's what got me a lot of work, and that's what led to some of the stuff I would do. Like for Blockbuster, I would do like I would call them like as a temp. So every time like they need someone, they have a deadline, and especially if there's anything US for Canada, you have to do bilingual. So you have to adjust like the back of the packaging, the front to compensate for the type. So they call me and I would fix that. So I did the Star Trek Blu-ray disc, the first pass. And then I would be called in for like doing like Stargate, a lot of Alliance Atlantis stuff. So like Sci-Fi Channel, CTV Sci-Fi, formerly Space, and that's when I met. First time I met a young Jason Momoa. I remember because he and I were tall, and I had to stand next to him for lighting.
So he was
And then the
working on
photographer had to
Stargate.
do the shoot. And then
He was working on Stargate at the time.
Yeah, Stargate Atlantis.
Oh,
yeah.
right, yeah.
So he was newly cast, and they had his costume. And the only thing is, I was called in saying this: the photographer he needs help because if it's a lot of pictures, he has to process. So there's a lot of new characters. He needs to sort them and delete and clean them and touch them up. So okay, so I'm there with the laptop because back then everything was wired. So it's like the old cameras. You remember the stuff like from 15 years ago. So he would take the SD card, hand it to me, and then we still using zip disks back then. Yeah. I really regret all the stuff I kept on zip disk. So he came in, and just because we're about the same height, so it's just like I remember he was much like he looked imposing, but he was actually quite like scrawny. And like if we had to do lighting and chat with him, there's just a nice guy. Just shoot the shit. Can I swear?
Yeah. You're good.
Okay.
No worries. It's all good.
So yeah, we just shot the shit, and so it was pretty funny. He was very, very curious. He's a very curious person. So he'd come around like, "Hey, that's cool. What are you doing? What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, can you maybe?" And he didn't have a scar then. That was later. So I got called in. I had to Photoshop in the little scar. It happened. It happened after his first season, Stargate. Something happened, but he didn't have the scar then.
Oh, very cool.
That's awesome. And you have some upcoming comics work that you can't quite give the details for, but do you want to give us some teases as to the type of things you're working on and what to look forward to?
Yeah, actually, Sam, you had someone recent. Was it remote? No. Someone was working with Blender. Andy?
Oh, no, my studio mate Andrew Dorland.
Andrew.
We have a comic. Thank you for the segue, because I will always give this.
Sam
plug.
is always ready, eh?
I am always ready to plug my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's done augmented reality enhancements to our contemporary fantasy comic book. So you look through it through the app. And he created it all in Blender. Andrew is phenomenal. So you're working on things in Blender.
Yeah, but not in terms of augmented reality. Well, kind of. But for the day job, I kind of am. Like for the day job, I work for Telesat, so I'm like a graphic designer for Starfleet. So I do graphics, explain like a satellite. It looks like consoles of the Enterprise. It's really cool. So I will be doing something with that. But for the comic, Blender being that, guys, if you're out there, it's complicated. Don't be intimidated. I'm learning it myself. Tutorials are out there. It's free. You can do with grease pencil. You can draw and make 3D models. So if you make like a figure, and so where I'm leaning at is that with Blender, what I'm learning is to make almost like lighting. Lighting is the key. I want to do something that's a tribute to those old Hong Kong manhwa comics.
Oh wow, yeah,
like the Hong Kong manga comics, like Storm Riders.
Jade Man. Yeah, the Jade Man comics.
Cool.
What was the gentleman's name? Tony something or other. There was fantastic stuff.
And it's like, when I was a kid growing up being Eurasian, it's like Storm Riders I thought was the greatest comic in the world. And every panel he drew, and especially the broad strokes. So I want to emphasize that style, but it deals with not fantasy. This is this comic that I'm working on with Howard Wong, who just released Damn Chris Children with Josh Stratford.
For Source Point Press.
So he also wrote Iron Man Hong Kong. So we're doing like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to our childhood of like those old giant robots, Shogun Warriors type,
cool.
I like cartoons and done that comic style.
Very cool.
Put me down for a copy. Yeah, I'm in.
Let's do it.
It'll be fun. Like right now, I'm having a lot of fun with the designs and drawing and designing like the robots. And now I'm figuring out because as I think you guys are the same way. When you look at a comic, sometimes like when you look at a hero and what he's doing, it's like, how does this suit work? Like, how does it contract? It has to make sense. So Juan keeps teasing me saying, "You want it as a toy?" I said, "I do." You've done stuff from Band-Aid. Hook us up.
Howard's done a lot of toy work overseas when he was living in Hong Kong.
Yeah, he gloats about it too. The food's amazing.
Cool. All right, Dom, it's that time of the show. We got the very special Would You Rather questions.
All right.
Are you ready?
Sure.
You've seen this already, right? Or have you seen one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. All right.
I also saw the movie.
I'm sorry to hear that. All right. 10 questions. Let's do this. I call it the process. Here we go. Would you rather eat only cheese for 1 year or not be able to eat cheese for 1 year?
Well, choose not be able to eat cheese.
Whoa, okay. All right. Would you rather have 100 duck-sized elephants or 1 elephant-sized duck?
Oh.
This one's telling.
No, now I'm thinking about like oh geez, that's a lot of fertilizer. I'm gonna go with the duck and live by a pond and get a waterfront property.
Like a giant elephant-sized duck?
Yep.
All right.
It's like a chocobo. It's like an old chocobo.
That would be kind of cool. It'd be kind of terrifying, though, I think.
It was like that old commercial when they ride ostriches in the office. I'm just gonna ride this duck.
Would you rather wear a clown wig or clown shoes every day?
I wear size 15 triple E, so every day I wear clown shoes. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah. Clown shoes. All right. This one's interesting. Would you rather have pogo sticks as arms or legs?
Oh man, because you have legs, you can hit every ceiling you walk in.
Yeah.
You're pain to walk through doors. I'm gonna go with arms.
You'd rather have his arms?
Yeah.
I thought you'd go for legs. All right.
I'm just thinking like Hadouken or something like that. It's like, yeah, I can totally see it.
But then how would you go to the bathroom?
Oh, geez. I can't take back that one.
Watch those springs. Would you rather be without elbows or without knees?
Oh. That's an interesting visual, and it's I'm gonna go arms because I don't want to walk down the street looking like I'm part of the North Korean army.
But you always be like,
no.
All right. Would you rather would you rather have a baby vomit on you or vomit on a baby?
Just based on karma. I'd rather vomit on the baby. Yeah, because I've been vomited on by babies. So it's just poetic justice. Like, how do you like it? It's a circle of life.
All right. Okay. Would you rather wake up in your underwear at work? Wake up with your underwear at work, or wake up naked in woods 20 miles away from home.
Someone's been reading my old life journal. Okay. Considering both has similar things have happened there, I'm going to go with the woods.
Which one was the woods was better?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There is no public transit.
Would you rather have to shave your head or have a nose pierced?
Oh, I'm going to shave my head. Go Picard. Go Professor X.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. 2 left. Would you rather Be trapped in a romantic comedy with your enemies, or a horror movie with your friends?
Can it be both?
The first one might be the horror movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I'm just gonna go with romantic comedy because there's always better food.
All right, cool. Yeah. Oh, hey, that's a good way to look at it. All right, last would you rather? Would you rather have a horse's tail or a unicorn's horn?
Oh. Just because I'm a fan of the movie Legend, I'm going with the horn.
Yes. Yes. All right, final question. What is your favorite version of Dracula?
That one, I because I'm so glad because you watched it and Sam's remember talking about it too, especially with the Hammer films.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially with this project, I wanted to talk about this. Is that when I was a kid, we all knew about Bela Lugosi. So I saw Universal 1 and I saw Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which to this day I love. It's one of my favorite films. It's oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But the first time, like I was scared, like of Dracula, like I understood like how menacing he was. Is that we went to the next small town over, and the convenience store that in those type of places, it was the post office, the video rental place, the one working arcade, you know, it was everything. And you have like Guns and Ammo and adult magazines, and then down the bottom in the row is the R-rated horror movies.
So specific.
and you're eye level. So I never understood why they did that. When you're a kid, like there's porn and there's horror movies, but it's always in the bottom rows, and it's like right where the kids can see.
Yeah.
But I saw one, and it was Christopher Lee, and he was carrying a victim, and this woman with 2 puncture marks, and it was Scars of Dracula.
Yeah.
Yes. And when you said you watched it, I remember the scene when the Jonathan Harker, by like not named, but the Harker-esque character visits a castle, and he's taking the blade from the wall and he's examining it, and you just hear this creepy voice going, "The blade is very sharp." And then out of the shadows, and then you see him just come out, and he's like, I asked my mom, like, how tall is he? Oh, he's taller than your dad. This is like, just hypnotic. And then girl comes in. What does he do? Doesn't miss a beat. Bites into her. And flawless. And it just that whole movie. And I just think Christopher Lee is myself. He's my personal favorite Dracula.
Genius. Yeah. He was great. Great answer. All right. So thank you so much, Dominic, for the spotlight and all the things you've been doing for the project as well. There's been a lot of behind the scenes. He's one of the, although usually you have one backbone, there's a few backbones, but you're definitely one of them. Sam's another one of this project, helping out with a number of things. And I cannot wait, although I had a little bit of taste already, I cannot wait to see what your final version will be for Dracula Visions.
No problem.
One last thing. So were you doing this while we were talking?
Yeah, I was curious. Can you see? This is while we're talking, I was doing this sketch. Yeah.
Right on.
That's awesome.
All right.
Dude.
So I'll finish that up later. And then we'll see. But it's
nice.
It's not the piece that I'm doing, but Parsons been great. He's giving me some great ideas. So I'm looking forward to it. I got everything primed and ready, and I'm gonna get started on the Dracula Visions piece this weekend.
Awesome.
Your prep sketches look fantastic, dude. Can't wait.
No, thanks, man.
Cannot wait to see it. And thanks again, Sam, for joining me once again for one of these, asking the important questions while I get all goofy.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you,
Next
Dom.
week, guys.
Cheers.
Tune in for Sketchomania.
Thanks, everyone.